Hello, good morning to all of you. This is the video lecture session regarding the unit number 4 part 2. I hope that you seen the last video lecture regarding the unit number 4 part 1, and this is the video lecture regarding the remaining topic in the unit number 4. There are the two remaining topics in the unit number 4, so let's see it. First one, there are the applying moral and the philosophy to the ethical decision making. So in this topic, there are the mainly we can say that total two topics are remaining, and in this topic there are the mainly three topics are considering. So first of all, what is the meaning and what are the total concept regarding the applying moral philosophy to the ethical decision making. So let's see it. First of all, there may be some situation where two or more clearly applicable moral principles come into the conflict, or a principle seems to indicate simultaneously two different outcomes. So such a problem is called the moral dilemma. So here there are the one we can say definition or meaning regarding the moral dilemma. So sometimes you feel this in your field, sometimes you feel this type of moral problems, that ethically both situations are right, then what option you have to select, right? So this type of problems you have to face, so it's called the moral dilemmas. So though the moral dilemmas are not always so easy to address, so sometimes resolving this type of dilemma may require the searching and may cause the pain also. So most of engineers are face the moral dilemmas during their careers. So in your careers you can also face this type of moral dilemmas. So here there are the resolving methods, how you can solve this type of moral dilemmas. So there are the steps in the resolving moral dilemmas. So first one, there are the various problems of the moral dilemmas suggests that the need for the several steps in approaching this type of dilemmas. So while dealing this type of moral dilemma, various steps are involved in which you can interrelated, or we can say take is jointly. So first of all, in the moral dilemma, there are the first step that whenever you doing face this type of moral dilemma, so first step you have to doing to identify the relevant moral factor and the reason that why should you do this type of work, and it's include the identify what are the conflicting responsibility and competing the rights and the clashing the ideas involved, that identify that if I do this type of work, then how can I do this type of work, and is it we can say ethical or not. So first of all you have to identify the moral factor, and then after sometimes your rights, your we can say responsibility are conflict and clashing to each other. Then in the second step, you should collect the available facts are related to the moral factors. So here I explain you these steps by the example, so you can easily understand it. First of all, in the moral conflict, take the example. There are the one person, like take the given the name that A person, who are joining in the new company as an computer engineer, and he find out that some illegal activities are working in their companies. If they are doing so this type of work, so it's we can say harmful to the public. So first of all they identify the moral that it is not ethical work, and if a person are informed to the other person, then it's we can say he can lose their job. Then he find out the first of all he find out the relative data or relative facts from the moral factor, that he can find out that is it ethical, we can say that is it ethical or not, and illegal activities are done, then in which way this type of activities are conducted. Then after, in the third stage, arrange the all moral consideration in the order as per the importance for the situation. He find out that if he is scared that I can lose my job, then he can harm the public, because he know that this type of harmful activities are conducted by his company, right? So first of all, he take the, we can say, it gave the option to the, according to the importance. First of all, there are the importance as an Indian, our, we can say, best, or we can say first responsibility to doing the humanity and try to save to our, we can say, country, right? So he arranged, first of all, gave the priority to the public, and then after, if he lost the job, he can also get the another job, right? Then after, in the fourth step, he find the alternative course of action to resolving this type of dilemmas, and it is usually involve the factual inquiry. You can inquire from he can find out, take the, continue with our example, that a person is find out that this type of illegal activities are considering in my company. So inquire about this, that how this type of activities are considered and why should this type of activities are considered by the higher authorities. And then after, he try to resolving it. In the first, in the fifth, we can say, the step, that speak with the all concerned people and consider their suggestion and the alternative we can say perspective on the dilemmas. He find out the dilemmas as an engineer, that what type of, we can say, work he should do. So he concerned with their colleagues, and if he concerned with their, we can say, family. So if he concerned with her colleagues, so the colleagues are also considering this type of activity, then how he conduct with this type of, we can say, inquiry. So he can find, or he can consult the expert regarding this field, and he can give the information regarding this all type of, we can say, illegal activities. And then in the last sixth step, he considering the all relevant moral factor and arrive the reasonable alternatives. And then after, as a person, we can say, as an engineer, as an Indian engineer, is a responsibility to save our nation. So he take the first alternative to give the information and doing the work as a whistleblower, and try to solve this type of ethical dilemmas in your professional life. Then after, applying the moral philosophy to the ethical decisions. So there are the mainly three topics are considered in this. First one is the moral autonomy, then the Kohlberg's model of the cognitive moral development, and the last one is the Kohlberg's 6-stage model of the cognitive development. So let's see, first there are the moral autonomy. From the word you can imagine, or you can take the simply idea that autonomy means a one type of independentness. So the meaning of autonomy is a one type of independentness or the self-determining, and the moral autonomy is defined as the skills and habit of thinking rationally about the ethical issues based upon the moral concern. You cannot think very diplomatically and think unethically, unrationally. You can think rationally, and for your, we can say, for your safety and for public safety, and then after you take the decision, though it's called the moral autonomy. Then after, moral is concern is the difficult for the different person, we can say different to the different person. Various practical skills are also improved for the effective thoughts about the moral issues. As a result, as an engineer ethics, these skills are included for the following, because different profession have a different type of moral. Take the example, in your field there are the different moral and different ethics. As an engineer, as a doctor, there are the different ethics. As a professor, there are the different ethics. So different profession have a different type of morals and different types of ethics. So here there are the engineer ethics are concerned following skills. First of all, expertise in the recognition of the moral problems and issue in the engineering. It's involved the distinguishing of the various morals and the problems in the interrelation between them. You have to try to resolve, you have to expertise to resolve this type of ethical dilemmas and try to distinguish or try to difference between this. Okay. Then after, The second one is the skills in the understanding, clarifying and assessing the argument and opposing the sides of moral issues. You have to try to expertise in this field and you have to develop your skill to regarding the understanding regarding the ethical and try to clarify the ethics, and then after assessing the all ethics and try to develop the argument and oppose if any moral or unethical, and try to develop the moral basis your thinking. Then after ability to conclude from the relevant facts. From the facts you can develop your ethical decision. Then after predictions about the alternative response. If you select this alternative or if you select the different alternative, then what type of future effects are considered, then you should predict about it. Then after creative solutions for the practical difficulties. If you face any difficulties in your we can say in your profession regarding the production, okay, at that time you try to develop the new creative solution. I give you example regarding this, that gave you example that Reliance firm, right? So in the Jamnagar there are the Reliance firm, there are the oil refinery, there are the one sector of this Reliance firm. So in this firm they have to produce this type of chemical products, and there are the oil refinery. So that's why we can say some environmental we can say issues regarding the air pollution. So they have to we can say cropping the mango trees there, right? So it's a one type of creative solution, right? How it's creative solution? Let me tell you that they can also sell the mangoes to the we can say export, right? They can export these mangoes, and it's a solution for the air pollution and also solution for the we can say also on the money. So it's a one type of creative solution. Then after sensitive to the genuine difficulty. If any genuine difficulties are faced, then you can also not very rude in your field. You can also work as a human being. Then after positive approach. Whenever you take the any decision, your approach should always positive approach. Then after understanding the importance of the integrated ones and the professional lives and the personal feeling. You have to try to get the importance regarding your profession or regarding your personal life. Then after moral autonomy is a refined form as a mature moral outlook, one which is more than the passively adopted, that the moral autonomy is an integrated part of the being responsible person. If a person is responsible, then this type of moral autonomy is considered in him or her. Then after the second one is the Kohlberg's model of cognitive moral development, right? So let's see it. Lawrence Kohlberg suggests the psychological theory of the moral development, and the Kohlberg is suggested the three main levels in this moral development. So these levels are based on the knowledge of the moral development, which are individually adopted in the response to moral questions. So there are the main three levels are considered in this model. First level is pre-conventional level. So pre-conventional level is considered as the right conduct and considered as the direct benefit that the individual gets. That if a person get the direct benefit, so it's considered the pre-conventional level. It's a conventional level is regarding the childhood behavior of the person, because in the childhood always person are behave like the selfishness, right? So it's a one type of selfishness level, right? In this selfishness level, person only think about himself or herself, right? So it's a one type of we can say selfishness level. In this level, individual cannot take any we can say idea about the public benefits and public welfareness. Then second level is a conventional level. Is a conventional level is a moral development. There are the norms of one's families, groups or society that are accepted as a final standard of the morality. So these norms are represented the authority hence adopted by the uncertainty. So the individual are motivated by the desire to please other and meet the expectation of the society regardless and the self-interest. In this level, they have to try to do this type of adult state. In the first state, there are the child state, and in the second stage is the adult state. In the adult state, the person can not, we can say, think only himself, but also try to think about their family, their groups, right? Then after, the last stage is the post-conventional level. So post-convention level means what? In this level, the individual consider the standard of right or wrong. So individuals are called, they are autonomous to since they think for themselves and do not assume that the customs are always right. They have to try to motivate their morals and try to reasonably, we can say, on together and desire to maintain the moral integrity for the self-respect. They can doing the work for the self-respect, not for themselves, not for their family and groups, but doing the work for the self-respect, right? Then after, the Kohlberg's 6-stage model cognitive development. So there are the third part of the fourth, we can say there are the two topics are remaining. In the first topic there are the theories regarding the ethical theories. In this there are the third part, there are 6 stages of the model cognitive development. So first stage is the stage of punishment and obedience. Okay, so if a person cannot doing the right work or ethical work, then after they can ready for this punishment level. So there are the first stage is the punishment and the obedience level. Then the second one is the stage of the individual instrumental propose and the exchange. They have to try to exchange their we can say ideas and knowledge regarding the overall information and try to solve the self interest to the public interest. Then in the third stage of the mutual interpersonal expectation, relationships and the conformity, they have to try to doing the mutual interpretation, interpersonal relation and try to expectation to develop this type of theories and try to solve their ethical dilemmas. Then fourth one, the stage of the social systems and the consciousness maintenance. They have to try to doing the work for the social welfareness in the fourth stage. In the fifth stage, there are the prior right, social context or the utility. They have to try to solve any ethical dilemmas and try to solve any social problems and utilize this. Then the last stage is the sixth stage is the stage of the universal ethical principle, that the principles are acceptable, we can say, overall world. So it's called the universal ethical principle, and according to that the person are working. Then after there are the new theory, it's a new theory regarding the ethics, is a Gilligan's theory. Gilligan, let me tell you about the short introduction about this, that Gilligan, she is one type of American, we can say American ethics, okay, and she is working in the ethics field, and she wrote the various types of books regarding this ethical matter. So let's see the theory of Gilligan's. Gilligan, in her book In the Difference Voice, is presented the new approach to the moral development. So she charged a Kohlberg's theory was with a typically male preoccupational with the general rules. She opposed that, and she only tell that the Kohlberg's theory is totally dependent on the male rules and only we can say preoccupational with the general rules. Okay, so she developed this theory, and they have to we can say solve this theories problems. Gilligan suggests that the main tendency is trying to solve the moral problems by applying the abstinence moral principles. Males tend to resolve the moral dilemmas by determining the moral rules, whichever reads other moral rules. So relevant to dilemmas, with the female try to harder to perceive the personal relations with the peoples involved in the situation. She said that male always try to solve this ethical dilemma, and on the basis of, we can say, only moral rules. But as a female, they can try to solve the moral dilemmas with their personal relationship and involve their all we can say all over concerned families and concerned groups. Then they concentrate more on the details of the context, which is dilemmas arise rather than the applying the general rules. And females is emphasized on the maintaining the personal relationship is called the ethics of care, while the men's style is called the ethics of rules and regulations. So she classified these theories in the males and females view. Then after, Gilligan's approach of the ethical of the care for the more development and expressed in the three levels similar to the Kohlberg stage of growth. So there are the three levels similar to the Kohlberg's model. First one is a pre-conventional level. In the pre-conventional level, she said that the pre-conventional level is similar to the Kohlberg's first stage. So in this level, a person is preoccupied with the self-centered reasoning. So right conduct is a view in the selfish manner only, and whatever good for oneself, they cannot take any idea, they cannot have any we can say reason to take any thoughts regarding the other people. So it's a pre-conventional level. Then in the conventional level, in this stage, the individuals is a intention in not to hurt the others, and there is a willingness to sacrifice for the self-interest. In the last Kohlberg's theory, we can discuss that they can all think about the we can say public and think about their families and groups. But in this theory, they can only bifurcate that they have to willingness to sacrifice for the interest, because he is concerned also consider the female's approach, right? Then after, post-conventional level, at this level that individual is able to maintain the balance between the caring about the other person and pursuing the one's own self-interest while the exercising one's right, and while maintaining the relationship base there are the mutual caring, right? So thus this can be achieved through the context oriented reasoning, and compared to applying the abstract rules of ethics. They have to bifurcate, can analyze, compare, and then after they can select the best ethical way in this post conventional level. Then after, the last topic regarding the unit number 4 is influence on the ethical decision making. What are the factors are influencing on the ethical decision making? So here, first of all, there are the three major influence that have the impact on the employee's decision making in the business, and high personal moral standards in his workplace, ethics and cultures. So, and there are the nature of the issue is a concern. Sometimes some person have this type of behaviors, right? So there are the various type of personal and we can say business cultures are considering for the take whenever you any we can say ethical decision. So there are the last topic is the personal value and the ethical decision making. So for the individual to be considered as an ethical decision maker, so he need to build or develop a certain values. Okay, whenever you are working as an ethical decision maker, at that time you have to develop your, we can say, certain values, right? So the Joseph, we can say, is Josephson institution of the ethical is proposed to the following 6 pillars of the character. What are the characters are? First one is a trustworthiness. If you working as an ethical person, then after, first of all, your trustworthiness is higher. Then second one is a respect. You have to respect on self and also respect of the other person. Take the example in your company, you have to respect to your employee, employers, then CEOs, then also consider the respect of the lower stage workers, laborers, right? So second is a respect is also important. Then after, the third one is a responsibility. If you working with the responsibility, then you can work very ethically, right? Then after, fourth pillar is a fairness. You cannot doing any partiality, you cannot doing any difference between any parties whenever you take the ethical decision, right? Then after, fifth pillar is the caring. You have to care about your overall parties whichever are considering and whichever are concerned in your, we can say, in your total business or in your profession, you have to care about it, right? Then after, sixth and the last decision making pillar is the citizenship, because we always feel proud that we are Indians, right? So as an Indian people, we always try to, we can say, concern and always try to care our Indian public. Okay, so there are the main six pillars of this decision making process, right? So here your unit number 4 completed. So if you have any query regarding the unit number 4, you can feel free to contact me anytime. You can call me, you can WhatsApp me, right? So I hope that you can learn about the unit number 1 and unit number 4 through this electronic media stations, right? Thank you so much. And if you have any query, and I also share the PPT in your classroom, and you can also find the same topics in your book. So after watching this video, you can also learn from the book, so you can easily understand these topics. Thank you so much. Thank you.